Hello, it is Mike Levin on Friday, May 20th, 2022. Again! And I can shoot this video while my last hour-long video is preparing and then uploading in the background on an iPhone. Wonderful! I never thought that day would come. And I can do it knowing my phone is charging, because since I started that upload, I made sure that the cable was securely in for the charge, so I can start recording a new video where I was kind of urgently trying to wrap it up before, because that pop-up that the battery was getting low popped up, and I was so nervous about that. That, I think, used to stop the video from recording. At least that doesn't stop the video from recording anymore, so it gives you warning to wrap it up quickly. And so here I am back, because I'm not done talking, but I will try and do a topic switch, because I really rambled on over a zillion different topics. I think it's one of my best videos. For lack of anything better to name the thing, I just called it Yongadong Dong. And for this one, I'm going to try and switch topics a bit, be more precise, be a little more scalpel-like, because I can be. And there are certain projects in your life that will change your life forever. They are the ones that create, that initiate the righteous feedback loop that I've been talking about so much. Of course, starting to use Vim as soon as possible. Use Vim now, is one of those righteous feedback loops, because every trick you learn in Vim is a banked internal asset for the rest of your life. It's an internal asset because Vim is never going away. Not it or its various forms. It's already an internal thing in so many people, unlike the way most editors are, certainly not VS Code, that it's kind of like in the blood and in the DNA already, and it could very well be in a literal sense in not too long. And when sub-vocalization tools come online and augmented reality eyeglasses, you'll be able to sub-vocalize Vim edit real easily, because it's very compatible with it. No new API for editing with telepathic control is going to need to be invented, because Vim is already there. Vim already exists. It has the telepathic control to text edit in your mind while other things in life is going on in the background, as if driving a car, already exists. It's Vim. I could be talking to you while editing in Vim, I shit you not, like I am talking to you now, and almost have other things going on in Vim. The less language-like, the better. I could probably draw tic-tac-toe boards and stuff like that. So, after you take up Vim, and I don't mean graphical Vim, not GVim, I'll use Vim. Vim on Linux. If you're on Windows, Vim on the Windows subsystem for Linux. If you're on Windows 11, open a PowerShell or a DOS command window, I don't know what those things are called, and type WSL space -- install, also known as WSL space -- install. You'll thank me. Ubuntu 20.04 will be running after about 20 minutes and one reboot later. Vim will already be there, so after you get to that prompt, well, the next thing you do is go to the Microsoft Store and get yourself the Windows Terminal app. Windows Terminal, and then set your default terminal type under Windows Terminal to the Ubuntu you just installed. It'll be an option there. It'll auto-detect it. So that way, every time you load Windows Terminal, you'll have Linux. You'll have Ubuntu Linux in the tab, in the first tab. And you could get other tabs with PowerShell and DOS prompts if you really, for some unknowable reason, wanted to, but the Windows Terminal is mostly to get today, as of this recording, Ubuntu 20.04 in front of you quickly. In there, type vim space foo.msc foo.md, and you'll start editing a markdown file named foo. And the .md extension will let it color code so you can see your highlights and stuff. And you're one GitHub repository away from website development using the Jekyll static site generator. So the next thing you want to do is learn enough Linux to echo a series of file names into a file name.sh, a file name shell script. And then you'll have to learn how to chmod +x that file name to make it executable. And then you'll need to learn how to ./filename.sh it to run it. And in this way, you can load multiple files into Vim to edit at the same time. Life-changing. The command :bn for bnext will let you move forward through the files in your buffer, and bprev or bp :bp will let you move backwards. Now, as soon as possible, you want to make one of those files that you're moving forwards and backwards through your actual .vimrc file, the place where customizations of your vimrc file take place. This begins the righteous feedback loop. The changes you put in there won't be live. You'll have to quit out and restart, but it'll be easy to quit out and restart and get all your files back just the way you were, because your new bash script file name.sh will load all those files back in exactly the way you were a moment ago. So there's never any harm in quitting out of everything and then reloading it. Vim will insist you save, so you won't even lose work. Don't get in the habit of putting exclamation point after :q, or you could accidentally lose work. You'll have to do 2 :qs to let Vim know you really mean it when you have multiple files loaded into the buffer. Small price to pay. Now, learn how to record macros. Learn how to paste those macros from your A through Z registers. Understand the fact that when you record a macro, it's going into an A through Z register in the same way as when you use an A through Z copy-paste buffer to have multiple places to copy-paste things. Now, you can record a macro, go to your vimrc file, paste that macro in with the command let at A through Z equal, usually a single quote, paste the macro from double quote, letter of the register where it's stored, P. Double quote, letter of the register where it's stored, P. Close it with a single quote so that your whole macro that you pasted is contained within a string, or else the vimrc will try and interpret it as actual commands. You don't want that. Macros are strings, even though they might have fancy control characters embedded into them, which are very difficult to type from scratch. So it's best to record your macros and then paste them into your vimrc. And this is the righteous feedback loop, because in addition to learning and knowing stuff, everything you bank about, Vim, a new Vim command, J to pull stuff to the same line, Shift J, I think it is, G semicolon to jump to your last edit point. These are things that improve your life forever forward, as if they were internal assets, not external, not like money in the bank. Better than money in the bank, because it's improving your abilities. You're becoming a Information Age Samurai Warrior, because your sharp yang tools can slice off someone's head with one smooth stroke. Become an Information Age Samurai Warrior by mastering Vim. Make your mastering of Vim into a righteous feedback loop by always having your .vimrc loaded in one of your multiple buffers that you should learn how to navigate through quickly. which I do with Control Spacebar to go forward, to go around, because there's not enough time in life for :b-prev. So give yourself a reprieve by not using :b-prev. And instead, map Control Spacebar, as I do, to bnext, so that you can go around some limited number. 10 is a good number. It's like the pig in Toy Story 2. I'm going too fast, I have to go around the dial. References, anyone? And that's the effect you're going for with a macro to do the bnext command in Vim, so that you can move through, say, 10 files really rapidly. One could be a private journal, one could be a public journal, it gets published, one could be your vimrc, and your life is your life. The others are, start out with 3 or 4, like I just mentioned, and that's plenty. Use the GitHub Pages feature to push out your public journal. If you want your public journal to really be a killer, multiple paged blog strung together with previous next arrows that are keyworded and perfectly optimized for SEO, pip install Blog Slicer. You're welcome. Which I created with a Jupyter notebook using nbdev as the way to create the package. Thank you, Jeremy Howard. Thank you, the whole Jupyter, what do they call it? The Project Jupyter team. I gotta learn your names, especially that senior developer from Netflix, who seems to be one of the big driving forces. And then there's another one who recently became a big driving force, jumped on the bandwagon. Watch my previous videos to get their name. I followed them all on GitHub. I followed them all on Twitter. And if you've got a passion for this stuff like I do I look passionate? Is this what passion looks like? If you're not feeling like that, waking up to Christmas gifts every morning, you're doing something wrong. Okay, Hanukkah. The miracle is that you're looking forward to things at all when you wake up. I'm waking up, now I want to get LXD running under WSL so I can, do practice runs of how to set up a scheduler under systemd using an XML file. Oh my God, is it an XML file? I forget. But honestly, how to do scheduling under Linux, how to write Linux services, superpower. People get too hung up on web development. Web development is overblown. Do you really want to be programming a genie that goes, poof, what do you need? Poof, what do you need? Thereby making yourself a genie by extension, handcuffs and all, pulled into the web server. Now you're on the hook that everyone who makes any request of the genie, any way they can formulate it, you're on the hook. You got to make that genie perform. Web development is indentured servitude. Scheduling. Now that's awesome. Here is something on a silver plate. I took a lot of time preparing this just so. There was no opportunity for people to make requests other than the last time your boss or whoever made a request. They make a request, oh, I can serve that to you every day at such and such a time. It can be an email, it can be a published web page, it can be a form of web publishing, but only those static pages exist. You tie it into a static site generator. It doesn't have to be Jekyll, you just spit out a report at a scheduled time, plop it onto a web server. That is a much more righteous way to do web publishing than anything that's PHP or .py or Perl or any of the P languages, including Ruby, worst of all. I rail against it. I rail against Ruby, and I can put aside Python, and I don't need to do it. I don't need to be pathologically eclectic. And believes just PHP. How can I put down PHP? I don't know. You're off the hook, PHP. You're made for what you do. And you do it well. You know who else does? Jinja. Jinja does too. Jinja too. Okay. Gotta get one shot in. We're now in Staten Island. Alright, so that's the righteous feedback loop that will change your life. Get to Vim as soon as possible. Get to Vim under Linux if you're on Windows 11 in particular. Install Linux with WSL space -- install. Wait 20 minutes, do a reboot or two, I forget. And then type exit and close out of that darn DOS window or PowerShell and get your butt to the Microsoft Store and install Windows Terminal, and then go into the settings of Windows Terminal to make the now available Ubuntu 20.04 your default, and now get in the habit of running Windows Terminal a lot and having a Linux prompt in front of you. You'll know your Linux prompt from any of your backslashing DOS prompts by the use of a $sign as the prompt. The thing saying, go ahead, do your typing, is a $sign. If you see a greater than symbol, you're in DOS or PowerShell. Close out of it immediately. If you see a $sign, you're doing all right. From that, type vim space file name dot extension. The best file name is foo, because, you know, things are naturally fubar. They are, you know, effed up beyond all recognition, fubar, but it's different because it's not fu. And this demonstrates convergent evolution in language. Foo is important. It's channeling some very fundamental and important proto-languagey things. So foo is always a good choice. But if you're going to be doing some web publishing, index.md will do as well. And if you're going to be starting a journal, journal.md is MD for markdown is pretty good. Learn yourself some markdown. Use Vim if you like, but create a .sh file that has the command vim filename dot extension space filename 2 dot extension space filename 3 dot extension. Learn the chmod command so that you can chmod +x for the executable bit, the different file names so that they're executable. Accept the fact that no tool is perfect, so instead of just that, you know, bash filename.sh, you have to do ./filename.sh. Thank your lucky stars, it's a / at least. Learn how to load multiple files into Vim at once. Learn the without macros way of navigating them. :bn, :bn. Before you develop carpal tunnel syndrome, learn how to create a macro that maps :bn to a simple thing such as control space. Learn that control space is the modern equivalent of Amiga N. References, anyone? So, it's better to go forward fast through a small list of things in a circle than it is to try and have the particular control about jumping between different locations and to having to stop and think. The more you can do to alleviate yourself, to reprieve yourself. You want to reprieve from thinking. So a reprieve means don't use bprieve. bprieve, bp, don't use it. You can if you really want. I jump to the end. I often do :b last, because you can jump to the end. It's not just bprieve and bnext. You can do :b last, and I do that a lot because I think it's a blast. I actually keep a script file in that location that is named blast.sh, which blasts out my blogs, slice and dicing a long journal file from journal.md into the, smaller carefully named files of the Jekyll system under the underscore posts, or underscore post, I forget, singular, plural, but Jekyll's location, the static site generator, built into github.com and invented by one of the GitHub developers and founders. So yay for synergies. Programmed with Ruby, but nothing's perfect, and is really slow to put the files out where you're publishing them. There's other systems than Jekyll, appropriately named Hyde, but development on Hyde has stalled out. So 80-20 friggin' rule, gotta use it, it's a tool. It's built into to GitHub. It was written by a GitHub co-founder. It works, it's mainstream, it's in the fat, big portion of the average distribution curve, it's well documented, it's just slow. And it's not Ruby's fault. And, don't look a gift Microsoft don't leave money on the, I don't know, mix in some metaphors of your preference, but just because I hate Microsoft doesn't mean I'm not going to use their Microsoft Surface laptop. It's really good. All the drivers are supported. All the drivers are updated. All the drivers work. All the external devices are supported, updated, and work. All the games run. The list goes on, and that's because I'm on Intel processor. All you ARM people who are like, oh, jump to ARM. Yeah, where's your Bluetooth? Oh, yeah, you have your physical Bluetooth. It's just the connection you don't have. Oh, you do have it about once a month before the volatility of the platform kills it. So unless you really like to bleed, stay off the bleeding edge. Don't use the Microsoft Insider track to get graphics on the Windows for Linux, the Windows, the poorly named WSL. Windows Subsystem for Linux? Is that it? Windows runs Linux. They call it WSL. It very much favors a non-graphic Linux environment. That's all you want, that's all you need. The graphics subsystem, the graphics under Linux is what? To have the Linux version of Chrome running instead of the Windows version of Chrome? To take the performance hit? Why? Just wait it out. You'll have a Linux desktop on Windows soon enough. Just wait it out. Don't be bleeding edge. The only place I'm bleeding edge at this moment is the Windows terminal, because you will find a choice of two Windows terminals in the Microsoft Store, and I take the one that has the new features. All right, so I'm bleeding edge in one place. It's not even that much blood. What else can I say? This all creates the righteous feedback loop that ultimately, the goal here, if I'm advocating Linux, Python, Vim, and Git, is to make yourself operating system independent, platform independent, vendor independent, almost everything independent, because Unix/Linux is just cool that way. Python is just cool that way. Vim is just cool that way. And Git, you gotta use it. That about sums it up. I'm close to my destination. I'm glad I'm close to my destination, but I put my time to good use. I will certainly push up this second video and have 2 videos from this drive. And this drive will be going away once I'm located here on the island. And for the first 10 years I was doing these videos, it was while I was walking the dog. You find the love-worthy bits, no matter how contemptible a thing is. Your commute, your unfortunately rigorously enforced daily chores, inequitably divided, control that are used on you in your life. Even those have love-worthy bits in them. And if you find the love-worthy bits, you will know you are on the right track by attempts to shut it down. If someone says you shouldn't be doing that, pick that apart. Diagnose it. Dissect it. Who's saying that? Why are they saying that? What would they get out of getting their way? What would you lose of their getting their way? Would it be improvements? Don't assume it's a loss. Are they looking out for you? Is someone gaslighting you, or do they really have your best interests in mind? Are you gaslighting them, or do you really have their best interests at mind? Flying monkeys are actually winged monkeys, and they are noble creatures indeed, if not a little bit mischievous. But you shouldn't condemn them to an eternal tarnished reputation because you yourself are projecting, calling other people a thing that you clearly are yourself, which you can tell from the passion that you put into your voice and face. I'm projecting, of course. I am a narcissist. I am a narcissist somewhere on the spectrum. Just as I'm probably autistic somewhere on the spectrum and maybe sociopathic somewhere on the spectrum. None of these things are necessarily bad. These are things that you need to know about yourself and start putting yourself on the course to the kind of human being you want to be by putting righteous feedback loop cycles in place. Don't get hung up on your view counters. If you're advocating not having narcissistic ways, don't make your PNGs and GIFs into videos so that your Instagram view counter goes up unwarrantedly. That makes you a narcissist trickily pursuing narcissistic supply. I could not be doing anything terribly different from that because I am accusing people of that. But this I say, and I will continue to say, that these videos are more for me than they are for you. Now, I'm glad you're tuning in. I hope I help some people. But I will not be thinking about a single one of these things for the first time when it comes up again in conversation later in life. I will be very comfortable talking about the topic. See? For me. Therapeutic. Cathartic. And releasing, you know? Exhale. Can't be inhaling all the time. Can't be pulling it in and tightening your sphincter all the time. You've got to release. These videos are that release in finding the love-worthy bits of this commute to pick up my kid for not quite a weekend with him, because these things are cut short as they are regularly, even with his driving picture. Can you imagine? I make the best of it, find the love-worthy bits. Canoe ride with a with an e-bike. We'll do more gentler things. We're planning maybe go-karts. Go-karts are fun. We've got a wonderful go-kart place near us. And other things that are just Poconos in nature to finish the imprinting of the fact that there are choices. There are other ways of being in life. And the world is not as big as it is from, you know, top of the island to the bottom, across all 5 boroughs. No, the world is not the New York City bubble. world is not the East Coast bubble, which is my bubble. So you gotta pop them bubbles. How do you do it? Well, I don't know. I'm at the beginning. At 50 years old, I'm just at the beginning. It's wonderful. It's liberating. As my kid reaches their age of actual freedom, there will be, possibilities. And I'll certainly be pursuing those possibilities for myself, which will be a great wake-up call, because, I am always there. But that always there, distance-wise, has really only got to be through that time period where it is absolutely essential. When the safety net starts to be getting removed, sometimes that always there is just an online always there. And then I switch from one particular model of the genie. Poof, what do you need? Poof, what do you need? Because I'll be a web server for my kid, just not to spoil them, right? To another model of Hackworth from the Diamond Age, King Coyote from a distance, through the Young Ladies Illustrated primer. So I hope I've planted a seed. Read sci-fi. It's got more important stuff about life than half the fiction I've read, but only half. The other half of the fiction is just as good as the sci-fi. And I got to get to some more of that. I got to catch up on my Dostoevsky and Tolstoy and a bunch of stuff that, I see as blind spots. Crime and Punishment, that kind of stuff. Anywho's, thanks for joining me, and hope to see you again soon. And don't forget to subscribe and thumbs up. All right, spread the word. It's good stuff. I don't know, good stuff. Maybe it's crap. Maybe it's crap I'm putting out. Maybe I don't need it. Maybe if I'm true to my word, I shouldn't be asking you to thumbs up and spread the word and subscribe. Maybe I should be sending you to flipping the big bird and saying, "Don't listen to me. Get the hell out of here, kid. You bother me."